Hey guys, this is Vix here from the Rainbow Meteors. We are back, but today we have Photoshop tutorials. Yes, sir. This is going to be a Photoshop beginners series. So if anybody's actually good with Photoshop, I don't think this is really the place for you, unless if there's some things that you really don't know that's kind of beginners. But this is really beginners that usually don't know anything or just know a little bit. But. So yeah, don't intend to have really crazy things on this series. Basically, this series will evolve to an intermediate and then more of a pro-ish series. But from pro, I don't really need to make a series because you could just do shit yourself. So, maybe the really, really hard things now and then, but it wouldn't be a series. It would just be these little videos. But I would probably just do a beginners and then intermediate, and then I'll probably do a different software. Like, I don't know, maybe Illustrator or something like that. Never know. Anyway, so on this video, I'll be teaching you layers, tools, and how to work some of them. I'm not going to teach in this series all the tools because there's a lot of tools that you don't need to learn right now. So the first thing in every single Photoshop thing you want to do is File, New. It's basically a clipboard. It's your workstation. It's like where you do everything. So if you can't do this, then you can't do anything. So make sure that this is at pixels. Sometimes it's at centimeters. Put it to pixels. And I like to put the width to 1500 and the height to 1000. And usually I put the resolution to 300. Now this is background contents. I'm going to keep it white, but usually if you want to make a logo or something like that, you want to put it transparent. Background colors is just going to set it as your foreground, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I never used it, but I'm gonna put it white because I want to show you guys a few things with brush and all. Alright, so you press OK. Oh, I think I messed up somehow. I think I put it to 100. Let me just do that again. 1500 by 1000. 300. Alright, yeah, there you go. So some people might have it exited out like that. You could just kind of drag it here. The blue lines will appear as a square. Let go and it'll clip into place like this. So your first thing here is this is your layers section. You have some people might not have this workspace. You could just go into window, workspace. I like to use painting. It's really good. Painting. Some people have the default. Which one is the default? I'm not sure. I think it's essentials. This is the default one. I don't like it, honestly. It's not really, your layers aren't there and it's kind of weird. So I would recommend going to window, workspace, and painting. This is a really good workspace. So your first thing, usually when you put your white background, you start with a kind of lock signal. This means you can't move it around. You can just double click, press OK, it will unlock it, and it will just be a white layer. First thing you have here is your layers. This will make a new layer. So let me explain layers basically. This is your first layer. Layers are basically a mechanical organization system. Basically, it's gonna make it it's gonna be less complicated. It's gonna say here you want to make two different things. This is your new layer. So if you want to make a new layer, just click here. You have another one. And say you want to do a ugly ass smiley face, they will separate each other. So say here if you want to delete it or you do anything to it, so say if you want to erase, you can't erase because it's selected on this layer, not on this one. If it's selected on that one, you can erase, but it's on this one. So that's one part of the layer. So that's how you make a new layer. And this is a group. Basically, group is to put a bunch of layers together to be even more organized. Like say if I want to put these two layers, click on group. To put it into the group, you click on the layer, drag kind of like when you see that line there. Do it again. You can put it at the bottom here. And then you can just close it off and it'll name it whatever, anything you want. This is to make it so you can't see. Click on it, you won't see your layer. Since they're all together, basically your group puts these two layers, if they're as one, you can still separate it, take it out, but that's how it is. If you click here if you click on the group file, it will you won't see anything that's in the group. So that's That's for that. Here, I won't teach you right now because you don't really need to learn it right now. Right now, I'm just going to teach you the tools. So, this is your move tool. Basically, if you want to move anything around, a shape, a layer, anything, this will just, move it around. The name says it. You have your marquee tools. You have, if you hold on it or if you right click, it will show you a bunch of different options. You have your rectangle marquee tool, which makes kind of like a selection. You can do a lot of things with it. You can fill it up your paint bucket. You can delete it. You can cut like a shape by pressing Control X. Say here, if you want to cut a square into it. You can do a lot with it. You have your elliptical also, which will make a circle. You can do the same thing. It's basically just a circle. Then you have your lasso tool. I like to use this to make really quick selections, say around the face or something. Like here, if I want to select around it really quickly, that's what I usually use. I use this, and then it will just select really quickly around if you want to do some pretty basic work. You have your selections, like you have your quick selection tool, which kind of like, honestly, this is for like this is for smaller things for your quick selection tool. That's what I would say for smaller things. But in big images, say you have your magic wand, which would select mostly a background. Selects the background fine. Then you have your crop tool. You have a few of them. Honestly, I'm just gonna go through the basic crop tool. This is like, at the beginning you saw how we put 1500 by 1000 for dimensions. This just changes the dimensions of the picture. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. Like this, say you double click on top, and there you go. So now you have your eyedropper tool. That's what it's called. I like to call it the color picker because that's basically what it is. By the way, for this, you have your foreground and your background color, which works with brush, anything. Your foreground is basically what a brush, a pencil, a paint bucket, anything will work with the foreground. The background is just another one if you want to be lazy and quickly change. So you got your background, you get your foreground and your background. And if you want to reset it, say if it's a different color, blue. If you want to reset, you can just click on this little icon here. It will reset it to black and white. Then after your so yeah, anyways, I was at the eyedropper tool. You have red, say, and then you have another red. Say if you want this red here, but you're on black and you want the exact same red, you use your eyedropper and it will take the exact same red and put it as your foreground. I won't really talk about this tool. Honestly, I don't really use myself, and you don't. Well, I do use it, but I mean, like, for beginners, you don't really need to learn it right now. You got your brush tool. You also have a pencil tool, and you got others. Honestly, I'm just gonna teach a pencil and a brush tool right now because the others you don't really need to know. So your brush tool, you can draw around with it. I've been doing it since the beginning. You just draw. You can you do a lot of things, like you can draw letters. I wouldn't recommend it because you have your text, but you can do whatever. I'm just gonna clear this here. You can also change the size of the brush here. This is like really good for changing sizes and types of deals for like tools. You can change your size. You can also have different types of brushes. You can draw in a different manner. You have this one, this like kind of like faded edges like this, and yeah, I'll skip it to that. You have your hardness. You don't really need that right now. Here you have your clone stamp. Like you don't need to learn that right now. So really, people are gonna be pissed that I'm not teaching you this, but honestly, you don't need to know. This is really beginner. So I'll do separate videos later on these tools individually, but I mean like. Right now, you really don't need to learn this, and yeah, so don't get mad. You don't need to learn this. This is your eraser tool, pretty basic. If you don't know what's an eraser, well, gets rid of whatever you drew or whatever it's there. I hope you know what's an eraser. This tool is usually set to the gradient, which is, say, here you have two colors. You have black to gray, say. Well, the default is black to white. I just said black to gray, and it kind of makes a fade like this. If you want, you can use your marquee rectangular tool, and you can use your gradient. Oh, what happened? There it is. And you can use your gradient inside it. It will only make the gradient inside that rectangle. And you can also change it to your paint bucket. Paint bucket usually fills in like a blank spot of one color, of the same color, or something that's close to the same color. Like say a gray and a slightly different gray, it will fill up both because it detects that. Like here, this is a dark gray and it's a pretty lighter gray, so it doesn't detect it necessarily. Here it detects all this as a dark, and you know, you can just keep doing it, and that's what that does, your paint bucket. Then you have your blur tool. This is good to, you know, blur edges. It's good to blur, but I wouldn't recommend it for an entire image. You don't need to learn this tool yet. This is your pen tool. Pen tool is really good. Honestly, I use it for a lot of things. It's to cut around really precisely. Like say if I want to cut around this, click here, click here, click here, click here. You have a better method of going, but you can just click around the thing, around the shape. You have another method that if you click, you hold, it will make it round. Like this, that little line, you see this line here that will go off to the side. This will kind of lead you where the round will go. But the thing is with these things here is that say if you want to put it back over there, it's kind of gonna go like all crazy here. It won't go into a straight line from here. So if you actually want to make it go in a straight line, like not curving, you have to hold Alt on these things and drag it to wherever you want it to go. Say if I want it to go there, it's gonna go there. So, but you can also, what you can do is you can hold, and as you go, you hold Alt then, and then it's gonna be simpler, you know. And you can do a lot of things. You could just say, I'm just gonna quickly go through this. You can make a selection. For the selection, you can just cut it. Oh, you can cut it. You can fill it up with your paint bucket, like here, and you can also with the. Oh, okay, hold on. God damn it. You can also right click on it and you have your stroke path. This will kind of make like this little around it, will make a line. Simulate it to a brush. I'm just making an example. You don't actually have to do this, but you know, it teaches you. Delete path. Usually you need to delete the path. Like say you make a thing here. If you don't delete the path after you're done with it, you just right click on it, even near it. Just near it, you right click and it'll come here. It'll just remove it, because if you don't delete it, you'll have a problem doing other things. Like if you're on the same layer and there's still the path, you'll have problems. You know, well, you don't have a problem right here, but you'll have some problems. So you make sure to delete path. Anyways, so now you have your text tool. I think the name says it all. You know, text. You could write anything. You know, say the rainbow meteors. You type that, and here's a thing called free transformation. You can either press Control T, and you can kind of stretch it and, you know, move it around, resize it, and all that fun stuff. There's another way of going. If ever your control doesn't work or something, you can just go and edit, click on free transform right here, and it will do it. So basically you can stretch. I don't like to stretch, depends on what you're doing. You can stretch on this side. You can also kind of, if you hold control in the corner, you can actually like move it around like this. And if you want it to perfectly stay at this kind of like shape, but make it bigger, you hold shift, click in the corner, and drag. It will keep it to its actual size. And there you go. Here's a quick tip for beginners. If you want to zoom in and out instead of using the loop, you can hold Control, Alt, scroll up, scroll down. And for sideways, it's just Control, up and down. Down is to go right, up is left. So make sure to know that. That's really useful to know, because it's always a pain in the butt. I honestly, I feel really weird saying butt. I never say butt. I usually curse, but you know, I'll be polite since this is Photoshop. I don't know. Anyways, back to the subject. So free transformation is done. This will be it for this tutorial. We'll see you on the next one. See you next time, guys. Make sure to leave a like, share, subscribe. Next tutorial will teach you more things like some color correction, some effects, and other tools, and how to use some tools, and I'll maybe show you how to do a quick thing on Photoshop. See you next time, guys. rainbow meteors.